are we doing today, guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. As soon as we hit 3,000 subscribers this month, we will be giving away our enchanted Carefree Surfer Stitch. But without further ado, what we're here to do today, at the end of each month, I'm going to give a recap on the tops, which decks are performing, which colors are the best, and all that fun stuff. I know there's a couple channels out there who, while they do great content, they cover top 8s of events. However, a lot of these events are top 8s at 13-person tournaments, top 8s at 30-person tournaments, and that just seems a bit odd to me to consider like over 25% of the field as a top cut. So I went through all the tournaments that I could find. Link the website down below in case you're ever curious and want to find tournament results for yourself. But if the event was 2 to 10 players, I'm only counting first place. 11 to 20 players, top 2. 21 to 40 players, we're counting the top 4. 41 to 99 players, we will count the top 8. And if it's over 100 players, we will count the top 16. In addition to that, I do have a couple pie charts that we'll go over here shortly for not only just wins, but the total tops according to this criteria, and the tops for events that contained at least 50 players and nothing else, just to compare how well certain decks do for the big decks or big tournaments versus the smaller ones. One thing I had noticed that a lot of those like 10 to 30 person tournaments, if you look at the top 4, it's a little bit more diverse. Like you'll get one or two other sneaky decks in there with Ruby Amethyst. But when you look at the top 8, all of a sudden that's where it just fills out and gets flooded with Ruby Amethyst. So my total is going to be a little bit different than some of the others if you watch their videos, because I have my, I guess, tutored top count on what actually counts. So what are our total tops? Well, Ruby Amethyst still does come in at 49% with 131 tops. There was 266 total that we had found. Ruby Amethyst, again, 131, so 49% of the top cut. That's a huge amount. I don't think people are surprised, and it's actually a little bit smaller than the others, like I said. Second place, we have Amber Steel. Good old Sleepy's Flute coming in with 30, or in other words, 11%. And I did break this one down slightly more. If you're looking at flute variants of these 30, 19 of them played Sleepy's Flute. 5 of them were Tiana aggro, which kind of was a deck that started to come on a little bit more towards the end, and 6 of them were other variants, whether they were Steel Song or just this color combination. Coming in at third, I did have a poll up on my community tab here on what deck was going to be second. There you have it. Amber Steel is the deck that comes in on second. Technically, that's the one that had the most votes, so I'm not too surprised you guys got it right. However, if we look at the big events, it's a different deck. Hint, hint. Coming in at third, though, Sapphire Steel. This is probably one of the hardest decks to pilot in the game right now, at least to pilot well, but it still managed 24 tops, or 9% overall. I think this is one that, again, early on in January wasn't necessarily a thing. It kind of gained steam mid-January. So I'm curious to see how February is going to shake out, especially with the introduction of locations and into the Inkland. And I think a certain color is going to do a lot better than it did this month. Coming in at fourth is Amethyst Steel, a deck that personally I play. I just had my gameplay and deck review profile up on the channel. Feel free to go check that out if you're interested in it. I think this deck is very fun, very explosive, and you can play the control build like most people, or you can do like I do, and I think it's the best aggro deck in the format as well. But Amethyst Steel coming in with 19 tops, or 7% overall. Amber Ruby and the Mufasa Control, Mufasa Roulette, Mufasa. 18 tops, also still rounded to 7%. Coming in then in our 6th place, so we have our top 5 of Amber Ruby, Amethyst Steel, Sapphire Steel, Amber Steel, and then Ruby Amethyst. Number 6, Emerald Steel, 13 spots, 5% overall. This is a deck that I said was overrated. I guess they're not as low as I said they are, but they're kind of not near the top like was almost expected by a lot of other players. Ruby Sapphire coming in with 11 and 4%. That Popsicle Patrol is going in hard. Amber Emerald also at 4% with one less top at 10. Then we have our Amber Amethyst with 5, so 2% overall. Ruby Emerald and Amethyst Sapphire both coming in with 2 tops. And then Ruby Steel did have 1, which actually gets rounded down to 0%, still funny enough. There are only 12 here, but there's 15 total color combinations, so that means 3 of them got left out: Sapphire Amber, Amethyst Emerald, and Emerald Sapphire did not get any tops. I feel like the biggest reason for this is Emerald and Sapphire are almost exclusively the supporting colors, and then Amber and Amethyst also to a degree are more support colors than standalone. The Ruby and Steel are the strongest on their own colors, and I think that's why all 5 color combinations of those 2 decks actually made it in into the pie chart. But we'll see what happens going forward. I think there's going to be a decent amount of change into the next format. However, like I said, we have our chart. This is the total tops. Now we have, the top of it's cut off, but this is for events with at least 50 players for who topped the most. Ruby Amethyst still holding very strong and dominating. They come in with 29 out of the 63 total, or 46%, so actually a slight lesser. Second place jumping up from 4th though was Amethyst Steel with 8, or in other words 13% overall. So they actually jumped up a decent little bit, because if we remember, they were 4th with 7%, but in bigger events they almost doubled their percentage at 13. Amber Steel and Sapphire Steel both coming in with 6 tops, just the way that Microsoft rounded it. It says 9 and 10%. They had the same amount of tops, 6 each way. 4 were Flute and 2 were Tiana. Then obviously our Sapphire Steel was 6. We just kind of said that. So our top 4 is still the top 4. And if we look at it, so 19, then the 13. So we go to 32 plus 46. So 78% of top is those 4 decks. Whereas here we have 49, 11 is 60, 69, 76% is top cut. We do have a few other decks here that still made the cut. Our Amber Ruby with 4, our Amber Emerald also with 4, Ruby Sapphire with 3, and then Emerald Steel with 2, and Amber Amethyst, the Hyper Aggro deck, coming in with just the 1. So that's it for our big event tops. We still have a little bit more to talk about though for this month. Our wins, the total win category, you guessed it, no surprise here, right? Ruby Amethyst coming in with 51%, and I do want to say this is, the totals here are much lower than the total event count, because especially a lot of the under 50 player events, the top 4 split, so there is no first place. I'm not taking who's at the top of the chart. I'm only taking first place if they play it out and actually earn that first place slot. So this for the wins is thrown off a little bit by that, but we do see Ruby Amethyst actually have a higher win percentage than they do top percentage, which to me actually indicates that the deck is that good and it's not a sheer representation number, because if that were the case, the total would be really high, but the win percentage would take a dip. Amber Steel coming in as the second most winning deck, Emerald Steel third, Popsicle Control, Ruby Sapphire in fourth. Can you tell I have Kibs? Paw Patrol, Sorry about that. Steel Sapphire coming in at 5th, rounding out the top 5. Amber Ruby 6th, Amethyst Steel 7th, and Amethyst Sapphire 8th. So that is it for the decks that are winning. One more thing we're going to cover for this month, and if you have improvements or ideas or anything you would like to see added to it for next month, breaking it down, let me know down below. The color tops. No surprise here. Remember, there's 266 and each deck gets 2 colors, so there would actually be 532 total here. Ruby coming in with 31%. I have to get up to go to work apparently. Ruby coming in with 31%, Amethyst at 29%, again with this deck specifically taking up 49% of the total pie chart. This does not surprise me at all. I was just kind of curious to see where the shakeout was with the rest of it, but again, remember, there was one Amethyst color combination that had 0, whereas Ruby did not, so I was more curious about the other 4 on how they were going to shake out. Well, Steel with 14%, Amber with 12%, Sapphire with 7%, and it's very small on my computer, guys, in this editing thing, so I apologize for that, and Emerald with 5%. I'm also working on a video with a lot more that now that Into the Inklands is just a couple weeks away, as we're into February, and we have almost half of the reveals, I believe. I'm working on a video going over that, talking about which decks I expect to start doing better, and next month, this chart I expect to be a lot different. I think Emerald decks are going to sneak way back up and start to do really well. You have Ursula, which helps against like the songs from Be Prepared to everything that Steel throws at you. You're A Whole New World, your Grab Your Swords, things like that. So aggro may make a comeback in a discard form, as well as that 1-drop, the 0 attack, 1 willpower, 2 quester, but from the Emerald color, but when they challenge it, they must discard a card. So it's basically your Lilo, your Maleficent, except they have to discard a card, and that just feels really good, because it means it's probably going to be able to get through 1 or 2 times, unless we start to see Fire the Cannon played. Teeth and Ambition, again, they're going to have to wait until the 2nd turn, and that's if they put a card on board the 1st turn, so it might actually stick around for a few turns and get you 4, 6, 8 lore before they can actually deal with it. And if you throw it on a bodyguard early, well, that's just going to be pretty good. What about Emerald Steel aggro with the bodyguards? Because they get the new 2-drop bodyguard, and they have 2 3-drops already too in pair with that. I think that's going to be one of the scary decks of next format, and I just might play it. Thank you guys though for watching. Again, let me know how we can improve this video type for next month. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget the giveaway. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, guys, take care.